Last time, that is yesterday, when we left the class, I had explained to you about the front flow position with respect to long-term liabilities and fixed assets, and also current assets and current liabilities. We were about to start our discussion on calculation of funds, application or sources, whatever, from the profit of the company. Before I explain this, if you have any query, please ask me the question. Up to this slide, if you have any query, you may seek a clarification. If not, I'll move on to explaining to you how do we find out the profit or application sources of funds or application of funds from this head, that is from profits. In order to ascertain that, let me start with a simple question. Suppose the profit and loss figure in the previous year was 80,000, and in the current year this figure is 1,10,000. Last year figure in the balance sheet is 80. This year balance sheet figure is 110. What do we conclude? Why will this increase? Because in the current year company would have made a profit of 30,000. This can be one of the inferences. If you are satisfied with this, there can be several reasons for this, but one of the common reasons could be in the absence of any other action that the company made a profit of 30,000. Therefore, this figure raised from 80 to 110. Now, suppose we have one more information that the depreciation charged during the year on all assets was 20,000. How will this impact the calculation of profit? When you charge depreciation, there is no outflow of funds. It is only a book entry. We call it as a non-cash expense. We call it a non-cash expense. So this figure of rupees 20,000 should be added back. Why should it be added back? Because there was no outflow. The profit would have been actually 50,000. Why 50,000? Because 20,000 we would have shown as an expense, which in reality was not. Means there was no outflow. So that means in order to find out the real profit or real loss, we make several adjustments. What are those adjustments? That I have tried to explain to you in the next slide. See, calculation of profit, it continues. Example of non-cash expenses. Depreciation is one example of non-cash expenses. Capital gain or capital loss. Now, the meaning of capital loss or capital gain is if you sell a fixed asset. If you sell a fixed asset, you can sell it at a loss or at a gain. So that is known as capital loss. And regular losses are one that arise out of your routine business operation. You are buying goods, you are selling goods, you are providing services, you are paying salaries. Result could be profit or loss. But when you sell a fixed asset, you may incur or you may gain something. So that gain is known as capital gain, or that loss is known as capital loss. So because these are only book entries, therefore we add them back or subtract depending on gain or loss. Similarly, when you transfer to reserve, so from profit you transfer to reserve, so that is also adjusted. Accordingly, the profit is recalculated. How do we do so? This I am explaining to you in the subsequent slide. If there are questions, you can raise now also. Okay, there is a matter in this slide also left out, so let me explain this also. There are entries like preliminary expenses, discount issue, goodwill, etc., etc. So these are all examples of those expenses or those entries which are merely book entries. Money does not go out. There is no outflow. For example, preliminary expenses. The meaning of these expenses are when the company is established for the first time, it incurs amount on its incorporation. It incurs amount on printing of its prospectus, printing of so many things. Before it becomes really operational, it incurs huge money. So the entire money that it spends is not recorded in the profit loss account of the same year in which it has been incorporated. This amount is split over a period of, let us say, 5 years. If company has spent If company has spent 5 lakh rupees, the entire 5 lakh rupees will not be shown. Somebody is trying to get in. The entire amount will not be shown as an expense, but only 1/5 in this year, 1/5 next year, 1/5 like this. It will happen, and in 5 years, this balance will become zero. So when you do so, so this process is known as amortization. So you are writing off goodwill every year 1/5. So what is happening? The only profit is getting reduced. Profit is getting reduced, but nothing is going out of the company. Nothing is going out of the company. All these kind of things are added back. I'll bring this slide to see. I need to shuffle in this because a lot of people are trying to join and they are sending messages. Yes, they are not able to join. All right. So preliminary expenses is one example. Then you have another example of discount on issue of shares. That is, if the company sells share initially at a discount, a share of rupees 10, company is selling at rupees 9. So 1 rupee will be shown in the asset side as a fictitious assets. So this too also is written off over a period of 2, 3, 4, 5 years. All these examples show you that there is no outflow of funds. There is no money that is going out. So same is true for the goodwill also. When company purchases another company, it pays huge amount. It pays huge amount for goodwill. So whatever amount it pays for goodwill, the entire money is not shown in the profit loss account of the same year. It is spread over 5 years, 10 years, and every year gradually it is reduced. So when it is gradually reduced, there is nothing that goes out of the company. So these are also added back. So I am providing you the complete information in the next page. Suppose you have profit and loss account which appears like this: sales, other incomes, purchases, other all expenses, depreciation, goodwill, etc., etc. These are all I have mentioned. For the time being, just assume that everything is happening in cash. There is no credit transaction. The profit shown here is just 1 second, 60, 30, 90, 100, goodwill rating of 20, 120, other income. Net profit, just one thing, let me recheck it. 120, 60 and 30, 90, 100, goodwill off. Okay, let me just change it a bit. Let me just show it here. Or let us say, let me make purchases, let me make this as purchases could be 40. Now this total will be correct. Net profit will be 20. I'll add one more figure here. Sorry, one more, this row here, row below. So net profit will be, just 1 second. Now this is correct. Company is selling for 1 lakh, other income is 120, total is 120. Out of 120, it is paying for purchases 40. Rest of the expenses such as wages, salary, advertisement, etc. are 30. Depreciation 10, goodwill written off 20. So net profit will be 20. Correct? Now assume that this entire transactions, all these transactions have taken place in cash. So how much cash do you think should be available with the company? How much cash? It has received 1 lakh in the form of sales. It has received 20,000 by way of other income. Again, I assume cash such as interest or rent or discount, etc., etc. It has paid 40,000 cash for purchases, salary, etc., 30,000. Like this, it's happened. In your calculation, how much cash would be available with the company? Any answer?
50,000.
Paid
50,000. 50,000.
50,000. 50. It is correct answer. Why 50,000? Because you received 100, you received 20. In all, you have cash of 120. From this, you paid 40 for purchases, 30 for all expenses. So 50 you have paid. Will there be any outflow because of depreciation? Will there be any outflow because of goodwill written off? No. That means these non-cash expenses are to be added back. Otherwise, there will be a disparity. You are saying that profit is 20, and you're in your cash box, the profit or surplus is 50. That means non-cash expenses are to be added, and there are certain expenses, certain transactions which need to be subtracted also. I'll explain to you how do we do that. Suppose if this way, if we do so, so this net profit company has transferred to this place 20. From this, it has paid taxes of 80, equity shareholders dividend this much, and it has transferred it to reserve 20,000. So what do we do? In fact, that in order to find out the real profit or loss from the business operation, non-cash expenses are added back. Let me give you some more example. Suppose there is an item called provision for reserves, provision for taxes. I'll repeat, there is an item called provision for taxes. Only if this is mentioned, has money gone out anywhere?
No, sir.
Because it is only a provision, but profit loss account figure would have been reduced. Therefore, we will make adjustment in this count also. Similarly, proposed dividend. Proposed a dividend. So if company is mentioning proposed dividend, it has not paid. If it pays, there will be outflow. If it does not pay, or it has not paid as on the date when we are making this fund flow statement, there will be no outflow. So there are some more examples. Just 1 second. Some other people are trying to log in, and they are saying that they cannot. But to me, there is no request pending. Everyone is in. I mean, here, no request is shown as pending. Okay, so we go back to where we. So this is how we may try to, just one second. Let me check if no. 1 second. I am just saying that this I have re-explained. Okay. So taking these examples, this one more illustration has been provided. You may go, maybe not now, later, and try to calculate this. This is the problem sheet, data related to problem, and at the end, what the complete solution is. When you do it on your own, you will find answers like this. So because you try to do it on your own, one I have explained. The second you try to do on your own, but with small changes in the figures only. When you do it, you will come up with these answers. Ask me if there is any problem at the later stage. So I will repeat what I have done, summary of what has been done. If you look at the balance sheet, you will find in broadly, you will find two sides, asset side and liability side. In asset side, you have fixed assets, you have current assets, you have fictitious assets. Some assets are intangible. On light, you find reserve and surplus, but find equity, you find those things. Now, if you take current assets and current liabilities, you have done with working capital management, or changes in working capital or funds from working capital, increase or decrease, source or application. Then you do fixed assets, then you do with long-term liabilities. You can do in any order. It is not necessary that first you start with working capital only. First you can do some steps related to long-term liability. You can do with fixed assets, anything, anyway you can do. Or you can start with profit and loss. So then you adjust the profit and loss, and every adjustment that you do, every difference that you take out will either be a source or application. Write all sources at one place, like I have shown here. All sources at one place, all application in one place. At the end, these two total will be equal. If your both totals are equal, your calculations mathematically we can say are correct. So you take 4 steps and accordingly prepare a final fund flow statement. If there are questions, you can ask me at this stage. This is the data which you may use for practice purposes. Some steps I have done, other steps you do on your own. Do you have any questions up to this stage?
No, sir.
See, these things would be clear to you only and only, I have repeated it several times and once again, only once you do it yourself. If you just keep on listening, the chances of your recall and all will be very, very less. Unless you practice on your own. For example, I have written here, you keep a print out of it, because moving the window back and forth, one disappears from your eyes, the other remains, becomes difficult. If you have everything in front of you, understanding becomes easier. Now I'll explain to you something about some more topic, and those topics are related to costing. I can take the help of some previous slides. Let me just go back to them. There are those, and with the help of those slides, I would be in a position to explain to you that and further. Just 1 second. Okay, I'll just check. Yes, with the help of these slides, just an elementary idea I give you here, and then details I'll explain to you later. If we have a data like this, sales is given, and thereafter we are given profit. So we may at times conclude by looking at these two figures. But when we go for the cost data, that is, we have sold for 2 lakh, so okay, but out of 2 lakh, what is the cost that we have incurred? What cost have we incurred? So that data gives us enough of insight. For example, we may have these not 3 firms. We may have these as a product. Product A we are selling for this much, product B we are selling for this much, product C we are selling for this much. For example, if I just do it here itself, A, B, and C. Let us say these are the product that you are selling. A you are selling for 2 lakh, B, C you are selling for 50 lakh, and D you are selling for 1 lakh 50,000. So the total becomes 1 lakh 50,000. Sorry. Total becomes 4 lakh. Yes, 4 lakhs. Now profit we may also assume certain amount of profit. Before we assume certain amount of profit, let me just insert some rows here just to explain to you. This is, let us say, 3, and here it is 2, and we write here cost, and here let us say, instead of writing simply cost, let me write here total cost. So here total cost, because we are having a profit of this much, so total cost has to be 1,80,000. So profit becomes 20,000. Here the total cost is, let me assume, purposely total cost is 2 lakh. So what will be the figure of profit? Profit would be minus 50,000. Okay, let me not assume 50. Assume a bit. Let me assume a bit less. 1 lakh 70. So just one second. 1 lakh 75,000. So what does profit become? Profit becomes 25. Profit becomes minus 25. That is loss of rupees 25,000. So if we simply look at this sales so much, sales so much, sales so much, we know that the profit is, what will be the net profit in such a situation? Net profit will be only 1 lakh. Only 1 lakh. If we calculate 1 lakh as a percentage of something, we may not be satisfied. But if we calculate the cost data, if we find out the information related to cost also, it tells us, let me write here also, because otherwise we will not be able to find out the answer. 50,000 and 6, the total cost will be 44,000. 44,000. So we may calculate the cost data, and then only we may arrive at an answer where, in which area, in which product are we making loss, in which product are we making profit, which product is giving us less profit, which product is giving us more profit, and where the problems lie. Not only this, we may split this also, this total cost. We may split this total cost also into various other components, like how much are we spending on raw material, how much are we spending on labor, and how much are we spending on others, or maybe miscellaneous, or you may call them overheads, others, or miscellaneous, or overheads. Once we have this data also with us, we find out, we may perhaps get the answer. So why is it that our material for this product is more, or our cost for this material is more, or our labor for this, which one, A or B or C, is more or less? So there are several things like this, the answer of which we can get only if we calculate this data, or if we not calculate, rather first we compile this data in the form of a proper cost. I mean, it's not actually a cost sheet. Rather, we have compiled the data of all the product in which we are dealing, and we have calculated product-wise profitability. Product-wise profitability. So we may calculate product-wise profitability. Let us say A is giving us so much percent, B is giving us so much percent, C is giving us so much percent. Then we see which product is more profitable. Which of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any number of products in which we are dealing, which one is more profitable? So the one which is more profitable, we may try to promote that. At times it is possible that out of 3, 4, 5 products, 4 are profitable and one is giving us loss. So how do you come to know of this data? You will come to know of this data only when you have compiled the cost related information. Profit and loss account will not give you that information. Profit and loss account will not provide you that information. Let me check, just give me a minute. If I have some solution for this in some other slides, maybe some more practical data, I'll be able, just give me a few minutes. I have this data saved in the desktop. I'll be able to take it out maybe in a minute only. Just one second. Yes, it should be. I'll check and then present that sheet. 34 to 43. I'll check if it is available there. I'll try to find out if it is available. I'll be changing this sheet and presenting another sheet to you. Now this sheet will not be visible now. Just in a few seconds, I'll upload another sheet. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
You can see the screen. What do you see? Costing as an aid to management.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what is a much better way of presenting. Suppose we just look at only total part. This part which is mentioned here, suppose I hide this part. This part is hidden. It's not, for example, available on your screen. Just do something so that it is not available on your screen. The one that I have mentioned here. You look at this only. A company is total sales is 10,000, of which total cost is 1,000, profit is 1,000. It is, and industry average is also 10%. So what do? I mean, what is your conclusion? You have all the reasons to be satisfied. The industry expect a profit of 10%. We are also earning 10%, so we are happy. But once you split this data, rather, once you go into further analysis, so the company is selling for 10,000. How is it selling for 10,000? Let us say it is selling 3 products. It is selling 3 products A, B, and C in such a way that A revenue from A is 5, revenue from B is 3, and revenue from C is 2,000. So total sales become 10,000. Now total cost is 9,000 in such a way. On A it is incurring 3,000, on B 4,000, on C it is incurring 2,000 total cost. So when the total cost is subtracted from the total revenue, you get profit. It is generating a profit of rupees 2,000 from product A. It is suffering a loss of rupees 2,000 from 1,000 from product B, and it is neither making a loss nor profit from product C. So what is the in conclusion? In conclusion, it is making a profit of 2,000 really, not a profit of 1,000 as reported, but this profit out of this 1,000 has been, set off because of the losses in product B. Therefore, we need to find out why is it that B is giving us losses, and why is it that A is profitable? Why is it that there is neither profit or loss? All this is possible only if you have taken second, third, fourth, fifth step in your further analysis. That is, you have taken out cost of these products. If the cost was not taken out, if the cost was not calculated, the profit loss account that you studied just now in about 2-3 days before would not have given you this insight. So costing, we can say, it helps management taking several decisions. So this is one step. We go to the next step to find out what happens in the further analysis. If you go for further analysis, same thing I have just split into 2. Let me check these calculations also. Total cost is 10,000. Sorry, total revenue is 1,000. Out of which raw material you are spending 4,000 on A. Raw material you are spending 4,000. 2,600 you are spending on labor. 2,400 you are spending on this overheads. Your total cost is 9,000. It is 9,004 plus 2, 6 plus 2, 8, and 1, 9. So this part is correct. Now, if you are spending 4,000 on raw material in all, it is 40% of total sales revenue. It is 26% of total sales revenue. I have written here. It is 24% of sales revenue. What we can perhaps say that if we are realizing a revenue of 10,000 from all the product, our 40% money goes towards raw material. Our 26% goes towards labor, our 24% goes towards other expenses. So total becomes 90 and profit is 10,000. Here we are taking the data for raw material. How much raw material are we spending on A? How much are we spending on B? And how much are we spending on C? So 2000 worth raw material is being spent on A, 1000 on B, 1000 on C. So if you calculate percentages of it, for example, in A, what percentage you are spending on raw material for A? Out of 5, you are spending 2. It is 40%. What are you spending here? 33%. How much you are spending here?
50.
50.
50%. So if you calculate these percentages also, it will give you enough of reasons to analyze or to comment or to satisfy yourself or maybe to take some further decision. Let us talk about labor. What is labor? What is the percentage of labor of the total sales revenue? You are spending 600 rupees out of 5,000. It is less than 10%. How much are you spending for labor here? 33%.
33%.
Why is it that we are spending here less than 10% and here we are spending 33%? How much are you spending here for on labor?
50%.
Why is it that on labor here it is less than 10% and here we are spending 50% on labor? Why is it that here we are spending hardly 5% on overheads and here we are spending 50%? Here we are spending 1/3. So if you collect data on these counts also, it gives just 1 second, it gives you further insight and you investigate. You find out why is it that so much of money is being spent on raw material here and very less amount or reasonable amount is being spent on raw material here. Just take 40% and 50%. What could be the reasons? One of the reasons could be that this product is labor intensive. This may be capital intensive. There can be reasons. But if you find out that these are more or less of the same quality of the same, their generic make is the same, then why is it that so much should be spent? If all of them are, let us say these are all brands of soap, all of them are of this, so by and large the processes would be same. Why is it then we are spending more on labor? We may have hundreds of dozens of reasons when we investigate, and accordingly when we investigate, accordingly we try to take some corrective measures. So corrective measures can be taken only if we know where things have gone wrong. That is possible only by calculating cost data. Cost data not merely in the form of total cost, but in the form of out of total cost, how much on A, how much on B, and how much on C. You would have noticed that in real life, every firm, by and large, in overwhelming majority cases, does not deal only in a single product. The product may be one, but its variants can be different. Think of two-wheeler industry, four-wheeler industry. Within four-wheeler, think of pharmaceutical company. Think of service organization. Say LIC, service organization. Does it sell only one policy? It does not sell. It sells several policies. So should it find out policy-wise profit or total profit? It should find out policy-wise profit. Which policy is more profitable? Which policy is less costlier? And accordingly, it should try to promote that. Similarly, think of anything, any product or any service. The Indian Railways, it does not only cater to the passenger traffic. The passenger traffic, then you have freight. Within passenger, you have AC first, you have AC2, AC3, sitting class, this class, that class. So it finds out product-wise profitability, service-wise cost, product-wise cost. This is all possible. This is something much better than for an extension of your profit and loss account. So this is the second stage. Accordingly, we can go to the third, fourth, etc. stages and can find out what do we do, how do we improve. Here, I wrote it. We can discuss it either now or maybe later. If this is this scenario here, can the company discontinue product C? If it is loss making product, can it discontinue?
Sir, it is up to the company.
Up to the company. Suppose you are working for this company and company wants your opinion.
So maybe in the future they might reduce their
Okay.
cost.
Maybe in the future we might improve. Any other answer?
So the company will not drop that product.
Why?
So there are certain products like they work as a complement product. We are like producing the mobile phone and headphones for that product, and
Okay.
like headphones are making the losses in that product, but they are still producing that,
Mm-hmm.
as that they enhances the sales of that product. So we can say that they can never drop that product. Either they are making losses or profits.
But at the same time, instead of saying merely this, a little more could have been said that it will not drop the product if this product is essential or is supplementary to the core product. Number one. Number two, it will not merely stop there. It will find out the reasons of suffering losses. If you know, number one, you have to find out, once you know the reasons of suffering losses, why, what are the reasons which are contributing towards losses, then only you can exercise some control and reduce the expenses or increase the revenue, or do both. If you try to increase the revenue to 3, your losses will become 0. If you try to reduce your expenses to this 500 to this 500, losses will become 0. Further, you can reduce expenses, it will turn into profit. So that means merely by saying that profit, if the company, sorry, if the product which is suffering from losses or which is giving losses to the company could be a supplementary product, could be a complementary product. So if it is desired that it has to be produced, otherwise our own original product, core product cannot be sold, then it will think twice before closing it. And sometimes strategically those products are produced because of which a customer is bound to buy that product. A very common example all of you must have heard and seen are the products of Apple phone. You cannot use any other product as an accessory for Apple unless it is Apple satisfied. So that means customers are bound to go for Apple products only. You cannot charge this phone with any other phone, which you can do with several other phones. You cannot copy your data except on that device only, except the interface is possible through that only, or you buy another product. So at times companies do it with well thought of strategies also. So here we are not into either marketing or business policy class. Here our purpose is to convert our profit and loss account into cost accounting data. Seek further insight, get further information, see what are the reasons, and then try to take the corrective measures. So this is possible only if we have the cost accounting data with us. Now we will proceed after this accounting data with some more techniques which are helpful in taking decision based on cost accounting data. This is the basis. Once we have understood basics of cost accounting data, the basics of costing, or once we have understood in what way does it benefit the company, in what way does it extend help in various compartments, in various heads, then only we can take up the other issues, or maybe we can take up other ways, other techniques through which it helps the company. So one such techniques for which the slides right now, let me check if they are available. One such technique is the break-even analysis. I'll just open that slide. Just open that slide. We'll close the other slide. Is the screen visible to you now?
No, sir.
Can you see the screen?
No, sir.
No,
Sorry?
sir.
No, no. Okay, okay. Leave it. Just give me a minute. I'll share it. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So we were just talking about this cost accounting. That is, we have several uses of it. Like we can calculate this, we can do this, we can do that. If we extend this analysis, like what other uses can of this be made, the one such use is through this part known as cost, volume, and profit analysis, or operating leverage, or it is also called as break-even analysis. Break-even, some of it you must have learned in managerial economics also. I'll give you a little more extension to that. So it is known as break-even analysis also. All you should know about it. What do we mean by this? Under what assumptions does it work? How do we calculate? And lastly, what are its managerial uses? In what way can we use this in decision making? The meaning of it, because you have studied, you must have studied another courses also. Meaning should be clear to all of you that break-even is a situation at which company suffers no losses, nor does it make any profit. So definition or meaning are known to every one of you. Can you give me an example of this? Can you make a statement? What is break-even point? Okay. Suppose a company is selling some products and the break even is 10,000. So the meaning of 10,000 break even is that if company is able to sell 10,000 units, if company is able to sell 10,000 units, it will neither make any profit nor it will suffer any losses. Or alternatively, by selling 10,000 units, company would have recovered its total cost. So this is the meaning of break-even. You must have heard this word several times. When a situation, when there is no profit, no loss. So when we say break-even, it means a situation either in rupees or in units, at which there is no profit, no loss. Below that, there will be losses. Above that, there will be profit. So when I say this, I am saying this because it is a social science course. It is not a pure science. So this is possible only under certain assumptions. If those assumptions are not true, the statement of 10,000 or whatever number, 20,000, 50,000, 5,000 will not be correct. So what are those assumptions under which this will be true? There are 5-7 assumptions, 4-5 assumptions that we must know. If those assumptions do not happen, our statement, our break-even figure, our break-even statement will be false. What are those assumptions? Number one, cost can be divided strictly into two categories, fixed and variable. If you wish, you can note down. If you can remember, there is no need. So one of the assumptions, or first assumption, is that cost can be divided strictly into two categories, the fixed cost and variable cost. There is no third category. Second assumption is that per unit sales price and per unit variable cost. You can say these two assumptions or one assumption. Per unit sales price never changes. Per unit variable cost also does not change. How many assumptions we have had so far? 3. Number 1, cost can be divided into two categories only, fixed and variable. Number 2, sales price, per unit sales price will not change. Number 3, per unit variable cost will not change. Number 4, sales and production are synchronized. Whatever is produced is sold, nothing like closing stock. There is no opening stock, there is no closing stock. So sales and production are synchronized. One more assumption, if the company is dealing in more than one product, let us say A and B. So A and B must be sold in a constant mix. For example, 30% revenue from A and 70% from B. So that means that throughout the same should continue. So sales mix also should remain constant. So these are the assumptions. How realistic these assumptions are, we will see it later. But it is important to know that unless our assumptions are true, our break-even calculation will also not be true. So are the assumptions clear to you? Or you need some clarification on the assumptions? If some clarifications are needed, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll explain to you the calculation part, and then we will stop here. I'll take some data, and with the help of that data, I'll provide you further information. If you have any question up to this stage, you may seek the clarification from me now. Are there some questions? If there are questions, please ask. If not, we may perhaps leave the class. I'll come back to you tomorrow and will provide you further details. In the meantime, you may revise your what you call whatever has been discussed, especially fund flow and ratio analysis. Carry out the revision part so that only once you revise, you will face certain difficulties and can ask questions about it. If there are no questions, you can leave the meeting, please.